Hey guys, Thomas from Team Sakurazo here. Come at you guys with the obligatory ban list prediction video. A lot of you guys have been requesting this, so you shall receive. I've also seen a lot of lists on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube predictions, and I'm gonna be honest with you here, they're really bad. They're really, really bad, and a lot of these people who have played this game for a long time or have a lot of involvement in it, etc., still don't know how Konami likes to handle things. So I think I need to start doing this every single ban list so that people can maybe learn Konami's habits and all that. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, but let me know in the comment section below what you agree with, what you disagree with, all of that, etc. And I'm not going to waste too much time. Just check out the sponsors in the description below. Thank you, my YouTube channel members. Consider being one. And we're going to get right into this here. So we're going to start off with the Wanted engine. Now, of today, March 20th, the Age of Overlord is 5 months exactly old, right? So it's only been 5 months since the release of the Wanted cards. Now, granted, if you count Wednesday as the release, because sometimes OTS sell on Wednesday, technically it's 5 months and 2 days old. And I'm going to tell you this right now. These cards are not going to receive any sort of change whatsoever. I'm going to put all 5 of them here. I know a lot of people are like, well, if you put Ashwin, that's good. I know some people are like, oh, if you hit this card, it's not splashable, which is, understandable. Some people think they're going to hit Wanted to 1. That card went from $120 to $55. I thought the card was already limited looking at the price, to be honest with you here. That's not even ban list scares. That's just, I don't even know what to call it. That is ridiculous. They're not going to hit these cards. They're especially not going to hit these 2 cards. And while they're eventually going to hit Snake Eyes and this Fire deck eventually, it's way too early to hit it, right? Same with Popular Promethean Princess. I saw some people saying, oh, maybe they'll hit something in this set. They're absolutely not going to. I don't know why they're even here, but it's too new to hit. When we remember tier limit format, that was another tier 0 format. We had that tier at full power for a very long time. What they decided to give us was cards like Macrocosmos, the Satellarite card that banishes Engrave and all that. They decided to give us tools to use to help us fight tier limit rather than hit it because the deck was just too new. And then they ended up massacring it later on, which wasn't good enough. That's what I think they're going to do here. We are not in as dominant of a tier 0 format than tier, and tier had way more time than 6 months. So if we get this list, it's going to be weaker, and then they're going to hit stuff later on. They've done this throughout the years as well, where people are like, oh, this dominant deck's going to get hit, and they don't. If this deck was so strong, they would have put an emergency ban list. And guess what? They didn't, or at least speed it up. And I don't think Konami's in a hurry to hit the Wanted engine anytime soon. 100%. In fact, if I were to be honest, maybe they even put Wanted poster as an ulti in OTS, right? Or something like a Snake Eye card. I would not be shocked. I'm going to say that right there. I'm also going to put this here because some people don't even like using the Fire King variant. So it's not really the big problem here. Now, that brings me to, well, if they're not going to hit this deck, what are they going to do to stop it? And I'm going to have some bad news, and a lot of people are going to start hating this list because of it. I have Link Karibo and Zelantis here, right? These are cards that have existed for a long time that are actually used and are really, really good in the deck. Now, I'm going to start off with Zelantis here. I see Zelantis banned. A lot of people know the OTK line through it with Snake Eyes, and this card has existed for, I think, roughly 2 years, almost 2 years. This is the kind of card Konami is going to ban because they're like, well, it hits Snake Eye without hitting our profits, and the cards we're going to reprint, and it's an actual hit to the deck because the OTK with Zelantis doesn't exist anymore, right? So Snake Eyes will suffer through it. It's still a great deck. I don't think it's going to be topping too much less, but it gets them out of one line. And when I look at Link Karibo, now I think Link Karibo is going to have no change, but I want you guys to hear me on this. If it is banned, if it is, I would not be completely shocked. I don't want it banned. I don't think it's a good ban. But Konami is considering the cards that are in Snake Eye that have existed for a long time. But we don't have a big pool to pull from with cards that are played in Snake Eye that have not come out recently besides, staple cards. They play all the hand traps, all the Snake Eye cards are new, right? So they might look at Link Karibo and be like, well, we could hit this because it's a very strong card and it's great in the deck. It's just that my issue is they could play stuff like Anemia and other Link ones to get stuff in the graveyard. The Link Karibo hit isn't going to be that strong. Now, recurring it from the grave does suck, so I guess it would be a tiny hit, But seeing how many other decks are going to suffer, I would hate this card banned personally. And obviously, this card, it does hurt a little bit if they limit it, to be honest with you here, because I know some lists do play 2. I've seen certain decks as well play 2. Not Snake Eyes per se, but other decks as well. So it's like a possibility they even limit it as well, but I don't really like that, but it is a possibility. So while I think they're just going to ban those Atlantis and call it a day, that's just my opinion. So going next to Albon here, I think everyone knows Albion's going to get banned. I mean, this card's existed for a long time. It is really degenerate. They're not going to hit the Gimmick Puppet with that new support. Guess what? We're going to see this. We're going to be getting Gimmick Puppet locked in different ways. I personally don't want to see Albon go just because I like playing branded voiceless, and deck's great. It's fantastic with branded fusion. The fact that you could put this in, do your whole combo, and then prosperity, pick up the branded fusion when you get 6, and the deck is thinned out, right? With the amount of searching that deck does, you're going, when you pop prosperity, you're not doing it out of 35 cards. You're doing it out of like 27, right? And then you're flipping over 6, right? So your ratios to getting to branded fusion just increase like crazy, right? And the worst part about it is with the Jowgen lock, depending on your hand and all that, you can actually Jowgen lock without Albon if you give up the normal summon, right? Which with the deck, depending on how you draw and all that, if you basically just have low in hand and pre-prep, or a way to get the pre-prep like with prosperity, all that, and you have Jowgen in the hand, you could technically just do that and it gets you to the same board, and then you could normal summon the Jowgen. So just something to consider. But yeah, Albon banned. You could Gimmick Puppet lock, all that stuff. They're not going to ban the Gimmick Puppet, no way, with the new support. And we're going to get Albon. I don't know. Konami really likes their locks. Like, they absolutely love them. I mean, we had Artifact Scythe for years. And I want to actually go to a point here with Snake Eye. They're going to hit stuff that is irrelevant. And I want to go back to Sprite. And with Sprite, I could see Konami finally giving us this card back. This was a band that, and I really don't like frogs, right? If you guys know me, I don't like the deck. I understand why it's popular and a lot of people like it. I just think, I just don't like the deck personally. But they decided that when Sprite was being played with frogs, which is not even being played with, even if Rowan Tony came back, they decided, well, let's hit this card. It was post Power of the Elements, I believe. Maybe post the next step. I think it was Power of the Elements. So they banned Rowan Totem. It was a really bad ban, in my opinion. I think a lot of people disagree with this. This card can easily come back to 3, honestly, and it won't do anything. But Konami's not going to put this to 3 right away. They're probably going to limit it. But I would like if they put it to 3 because they know it's not a problem. But I'm just going to put to limited just because that's what I think Konami's going to do. They're going to test this out. Another card I want to, and I'm going to get these out of the way. Meow Meow. I understand that this card, I believe Print Kids won a Worlds, and then we all saw it get hit, and this card getting banned. I think if you brought this card to 1, the deck still doesn't do much. I think that even back then, people were way too hard on the deck. I will always say that. I don't even like Prank Kids as a style of deck. I just think that the deck, it was just way too hard to be on the deck. I think this card can easily come back and it would do nothing. Same with Carrier. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, half the players don't even know what this card is. You just showed them an image, much less know what it does. This card has been on the ban list, I think, since 2010. It's been like 14, 15 years. I have zero clue why. Maybe they'll just finally bring it back because it's irrelevant. But I really hope they do. And then people say, oh, but they should ban Hunter. I'll be honest with you. This deck does nothing. It does not matter. But if they want to, go ahead. Fine. I guess if they release wind-up support in the future and they have this card, yeah, I guess the loop could be stronger. So sure, why not? Glow Up Bulb. Now, I'll be honest with you here. I said this was a prediction list, not a wish list, right? These all 3 cards here are kind of like ticking time bombs when they're going to get limited. They could go on the next one. Konami likes to sprinkle in something really fun every ban list. That's why they keep some cards banned. And that's my honest opinion, where they're like, yeah, this card could come back, but we want to release some actual fun changes so the players are hyped for new formats, even though we're literally locking out decks and strategies that could be fun. But that's their thinking, right? That is what all 3 of these. This is somewhat of a wish, but only because here's the thing. We have Revolution Synchron, which is a card that is ultimately better in most scenarios, but we have Glow Up Bulb banned, right? I love when they rehash banned cards to release and they do nothing. I absolutely love it. Now, Glow Up Bulb is better with plant stuff because it's a plant card, right? So in plants, you could send this and you can mill it and you can get and you have access to a tuner and you could possibly dump something good in the grave, right? That is why this card is really strong. They hit the Sun Avalon decks. If you end up if this card comes back, the combos definitely change. This is still a very strong card. Now, in my personal books, I played a Romage and a lot of other decks. Back when we had Brilliant Fusion, I used to play this card and go into Nat Beast. I used to have the pop on my opponent's turn, a Apollosa with 3 or 4 interrupts. I'm pretty sure I could add 4, but I kept misplaying and had 3. And then Naturia Beast, as well as you would have Protection, if you choose so with the link, depending on what your opponent's playing, and you'd have the Trap as well, which is really good. This card's very strong. I think they could eventually bring this card back, but I'm kind of in between. I really want to hear your guys' thoughts on this, but I'll put it in limited. Title, I think they're bringing back a ruler every list. They brought back Redox. I think they might bring back Title. If they don't, they're going to wait for the Year of Water. Very simple here. Beatrice here, I think we're good with having this card banned. I think it's very, very strong card. I know that one of the decks coming up have access to rank 6s again, so guess what? That's Beatrice plays. I remember someone told me, and I don't know if this is true, but it was Goblin Biker, not Goblin Biker Punk, but it was Goblin Biker something that was a very, very strange that out-topped using Beatrice. Card's broken. Masterpiece could probably go to 1, release the piece. Calamity could be banned. I think they kept this in the game. Not just for Centurion, but because they released it in the structure deck. So I knew this card wasn't going to get banned the last list, because when they release a structure deck, they're not going to want to hit a card in that structure deck, because they don't want, because in Konami's eyes, they want new players to get a structure deck and be like, well, why are you playing a banned card? How were they supposed to know? You know what I mean? So they're not going to do that, but I think it's enough time where Calamity could get banned. If it doesn't get banned here, it might get banned the next list. You guys know what it is. Diagram, you can put it to 2. I mean, I know they have the Trap at limited, which I think is True King's Return. You could bring back this to 2. If they want to bring back Masterpiece, that's one thing. But they could bring back Diagram to 2. I think that's very fair. SB Lil Knight. Now, again, this card is going to go in no changed, in my opinion. They're not going to hit this, but eventually they might limit it. But that's the way I see it. Maybe Konami, and this is a slight possibility. I won't put my chips in on this, but I would think about it in the back of my head, where they might limit this, because having 2 SP is actually pretty busted. Limiting this card actually does something to the card. I think it's very fair. 1 Little Knight per person, because I don't want to deal with 2 in the same game. They could eventually limit this card, and they might even do it this list, because they're like, well, it does not hurt our profits or sales limiting this, because most people are going to play 1 anyway. That is just an idea. Think it's going to go into no change though. Now, Fenrir, we're going to put Pinkertops in unlimited, and we're going to put Fenrir at limited here. I saw some people defending this card, and I think it's absolutely bogus how they are, because Fenrir isn't, people say Fenrir is an engine. It's not even an engine. It's just Fenrir, okay? A Fenrir requires 2 or more cards. You are not playing a Kashtira engine, all right? You're just playing Fenrir in your deck, okay? Let's all come back to, reality here. You're playing 3 Fenrir is not a Kashtira engine, okay? Stop being ridiculous. This card, you literally special summon it for free. Unless your deck says has some type of lock where it locks you in, and usually with Fenrir you could do it beforehand. Usually, Fenrir is just a free special summon, effect to search, another copy so I could do it next turn, and then you could just link it off, or just leave it on the field, your opponent and then banish a face-up card. It's literally that simple. Cards should be limited. Pinkertops could go to 3 personally. It's still a good card and a little better sometimes than Fenrir. It could stay at 2, and they might put 1 Fenrir, 2 Pinkertops. So that is possibility, but seeing how Pinkertops did nothing, they might put it to unlimited just because they saw nothing, even though I still think this card's a very, very good card. It's just, why would I run this card usually over Fenrir? That's my problem with Pinkertops. And you guys, I guess you could technically run both net bricks, and this is the obviously better card, and you could search itself out. The biggest issue I don't get with Fenrir is, why did they make it search itself? Why couldn't they say search a cashier card other than Fenrir? Like, that's all they had to do, and the card would be so much better, but whatever. Harpor could come to 2. It did absolutely nothing, and they wait for a card to be irrelevant. Maybe they'll wait a little while just because they feel like it, but I still think it'll just go to 2. People say, oh, it could go to 3. It could go to 3. Maybe Konami will put it at 3. And you know what? We'll put it at 3 here, but if they put it to 2 just to test things out, cool, right? That's the way I see it. Kieran could go back to limited. I mean, I thought they were going to do this last list. Now they might do it this list. Sometimes Konami might even keep this card banned. And I don't want them to keep it banned per se, but just because Konami's like, well, maybe it's too strong because of this and that. And even though we released all the support for the deck and it did absolutely nothing, we're not going to give them Kieran back, even though giving Kieran will actually justify us giving this archetype support. I don't know. That's the way I see it. Misk, it could go to 2. It probably is going to stay limited. I think Konami likes this at 1. I think they love it as a powerhouse. So we're just going to keep it as limited. Pop Prosperity, are they going to follow the OCG finally? Maybe, but TCG and OCG are very different. Maybe Konami loves this card, but they did put it in 25th, so maybe that's why they stalled the move. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to limit this card. We just released a Rarity Collection. Well, it's been a while since Rarity Collection. I believe Rarity Collection was an October set. No, it was October set. So they gave it 5 months. It's not like when they first released something, this is a reprint, right? So they don't wait their 6 to 8 months or 9 months. They could limit this card very much and just follow the OCG. I know a lot of people also want it, all that. People talk about Heavy Storm coming back. I mean, it could, but they released Duster at 1. I think the way you could destroy some of your cards could be, a little busted. And having a Heavy and a Duster is kind of nuts here. But it could go to 1. It could stay banned. They could kind of do whatever with this card, honestly. Anti-spell and summon limit. Let's just get these both out of the way. A lot of people are saying, oh, they could be limited and we got powerhouses. And I think that is true. I do think we could see a summon limit and an anti-spell hit. Personally, I think we're most likely going to see a anti-spell, not a summon limit. I don't feel like they're going to hit both, but they could. I think anti-spell has come in and out, and people have hated this card for a long time. And they might end up just being like, you know what, we're going to hit this one. But eventually, I would like our floodgates to rotate a little bit. Like, we could have, like, let's say we could have Goes in a rivalry at like 2 or 3, right? And then we could, like, put some other floodgates to 1. That's how I like to handle floodgates, personally. I like it when Konami rotates them, right? Like, they don't have to be permanently limited. That's kind of the way I see it here. But I think Summon Limit is just busted because people have to use it right now because of Snake Eyes. I think if Snake Eyes ever left the format, I think Summon Limit would go too, because we've seen, and again, you can argue this with every Floodgate, but Floodgates will come in and out of the game, but then there's Floodgates that come in and out of the game way, way less, and I do feel like Summon Limit's one of those cards. D Barrier, I mean, I don't think they're going to hit this personally, but it's a very strong card. This is the kind of card I actually want limited. This is the one Floodgate I prefer limited. Same with Skill Drain. I absolutely hate this card, but I just don't think they're going to hit these, but I want Skill Drain limited. It's been a long time. I don't think they're going to, unfortunately, but I would want it. Blaster, I don't know why that's here. Did we go over title already? Yeah, we went over title. I don't know why Blaster's here. Jet Synchron, I'm cool with seeing this band. I actually watched a GGYGO video where they were like doing hot takes. So it was with him and Evelise, and they actually answered a very important question of mine, because I was thinking to myself, what does RR Darn really do now that Hulk's banned? And they actually talked about what's called a combo with just this card alone, and Snake Eyes should not be having that. And I'm like, okay, makes sense. I actually want this card banned, though. I think they banned it with Hulk, and it was one of the most prominent cards with Hulk. And I've just seen this card so often over the years, so often, that I think Konami might look at it as a ban. Again, it's a card that is also played in Snake Eyes, and it is one of those outside sources, and they know this card's been a problem for a long time. They did release the CR recently, though, so that might, like, conflict personally, but I still kind of, it's possible. Engage, I think they're just going to keep at 2. I don't think they're going to put at 3 just yet. They like having it. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I'm just going to keep it at semi-limited. D-Shifter, I'm cool with this card being banned. I think that Floodgates, now I don't hate Floodgates like everybody else, but the fact that you could just shotgun this, and it's such an abrasive one where it's literally everything's banished, and decks can actually benefit off this card. The fact that a Floodgate that you can activate from your hand, just shotgun, could benefit you so much advantage just in your plays alone, and then just make your opponent unable to play is just ridiculous. This card could absolutely go. Now for Labyrinth, I'm just putting this here. I'll be honest with you here. Lab has been roughly a tier 1 deck for a long time. Now, I know this format's fallen off somewhat, but I think Konami, because they're always late to the party, they're going to hit this deck in some way capacity. I have Big Welcome here as something. Maybe they hit Welcome Labyrinth. I don't think they're going to hit the Furniture pieces are late. I think they're going to hit this or the other trap. Probably just going to limit it, call it a day. I don't think it's going to be this one. I think it's going to be the other one personally, but it's just going to be here. I think it's going to be some sort of lab hit. Shavara, a lot of people are saying it's going to come back. It's going to be blah. They just hit this card. I think they're going to just keep it limited. Maybe if Konami puts it to 2, I think it'd be cool, but I think they're just going to keep it because they just hit it. Branded Fusion, no change. I think that people's big problem isn't branded. It is Albon. Let's keep it a buck here. If you ban Albon, nobody's going to be complaining about Branded Fusion. Oh, Brand, it's really good this format. Yeah, because it has a good matchup against Snake Eyes, and we're in a tier 0 format. That's not a branded problem. Branded's not an issue if they have a good matchup against tier 0 when they haven't been doing much the format before and the format before that, right? And then guess what? They solve Snake Eye. Is Branded going to be good with all these other decks? Probably not as good, right? Plus, they're getting more support, I bet, because this deck just never changes getting support. It's going to be no change. Let's call it a day. Albion's a problem. It's not Branded Fusion. They hit Branded Fusion, and we still have Albon lock. You guys are going to be upset. Trust me. Spirit turns up. I think this might come to unlimited. I mean, just give us it. And then I don't know why this is here. I don't think Herald's going to get hit. It is a good card, though, but with Voiceless and all that, they're not going to hit this. So I'm not even going to put this anywhere. But with that being said, this is my personal list for the ban list. Now, obviously, remember that this isn't going to be right. I don't think anyone has ever had a perfectly correct list in the game when it comes to predictions, but I think this is what they're going to do. I want to talk more about Konami's logic with this prediction list, but I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.